CEO Ronald Higley, Creating the Difference. What's going on? I wanted to jump on here and have a little conversation with you guys. I actually have put up on here where you can see my screen, and that's by design. That's on purpose. What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about weight holes and bowling balls, and kind of explain some things about weight holes and bowling balls, because August 1st, 2020, the game kind of changes a little bit in the fact that we are no longer going to be allowed to have weight holes and bowling balls. So I want to kind of go through and use a little bit of physics, a little math, and do some explaining to exactly what that's going to look like, what that means, and exactly kind of how that's going to impact you as a bowler. So I want to spend just a little time going over that. So check this out. So what I'm showing you right now is essentially the delivery parameters of our bowler. We called him Joe Bowler. You can see his name is Joe Bowler. He's right-handed. He's a standard or 3-finger. It shouldn't be like 2 fingers and a thumb, but anyway, bowler. And I'm going to go through and we're going to talk a little bit about all of the individual parameters here and make sure that you guys have a better understanding of what's going on. So first, we're going to show you his grip. So we actually have his specs, his span, his positive axis point. This is all just kind of standard stuff. We didn't do anything flashy or funny here. This is what I would consider to be normal specs and normal pitches, normal spans, normal, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to switch screens. We're going to talk about the delivery parameters over here as well. So effectively what matters here is this group of parameters, okay? These are going to tell you what kind of bowler he is. So his ball speed, 17 miles an hour. His rev rate's 300 RPMs. He's got a fair amount of axis rotation, a little bit of axis tilt, and then the loft distance kind of indicates how he would throw the ball if he was throwing it on the lane. The targeting parameters would be what he's looking at and where he's hitting. I'm not so worried about that component of it because we're going to just look at some of the ball aspect of the changes with weight hole versus not weight hole, as opposed to actual performance changes. And this over here, this ST.DEV is standard deviation, which basically is like error ratings. The best way to describe it is these are kind of based on typical bowling levels. So I made our guy a 180 to 200 average bowler. So when I click that, you'll see the numbers match over here. So he's a 180 to 200 average bowler. So this is a good general league bowler. That's what we've got for the player himself. All right. So now we're going to change, and we're going to go look at a bowling ball. We're going to pick a bowling ball. I've actually got a 15-pound Black Widow bowling ball that we're going to use for our initial demonstration here. I picked that ball just because it's a popular core. It's in a lot of balls. It's been around for a long time. So there's a small chance that you actually may have one of these balls, but we'll do some other examples in a future video too. What is most important, if you look down here toward the bottom, go down to the bottom and see, you can see the total weight, the top weight, pin distance, and this mass bias pin to C G angle, which we're not worried about any of that right now. And then these are the numbers of the ball, okay? So this is the minimum RG is 2.497. The intermediate is 2.541, blah, 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 blah. So these are the specs of the ball undrilled. Now you say, well, what does any of that matter? Or why do we care about that? Well, because really what these numbers are going to show you, or what they're really talking to, is how the core shape impacts the ball. So I'm going to show you another little look. We're going to make a graphic out of this. So this graphic here is actually what you really, really want to focus on, okay? What this graphic is this is where that 2.497 number actually is. It actually is right here on the pin. That's the minimum number of the ball. If you were to look at all the numbers on the ball and you were to map them and put them all over the ball, this is what it's going to look like. This is what the ball's going to look like. So the minimum or lowest number is 2.497. That's here. The highest number or maximum is right here, and it's 2.554. And then all the other colors are indicating numbers that are different, but are lower as you go this way and are higher as you go this direction. You can kind of see that by down here by the scale. The 2.554 is red, and then as you move to yellow, you're at 2.538, 2.521 in green, and then all the way down to 2.497. Now, you may go, well, how does that matter? Why do I care? Why are you showing me this? This is really what matters from the core standpoint. And when we start talking about weight holes, this is what's going to matter. when we start putting a weight hole in the ball, when we start putting finger holes in the ball, we're going to shift this. So we're going to stay focused on this map, okay? This map is really the key. So we're going to go over here and we're going to get ourselves in a little different place right here. Let me go back over to here, and I need to slide this over a little bit because I can't. It's got me compressed. I can't put in my information that I want to put in right here. So, all right, not a big deal. We will figure that out. Let me go over to, I have two screens actually. So let me go over to my other screen here and see if I can get that to get a little bit bigger so we can see it. And if not, what I will do is take myself. Can't do that. That doesn't work. So let's see. The key for me is to get my screen to open up so that I can be able to put in some numbers. What's going on, Zach? We're going to figure this out one way or another. Currently, it will not let me see all of what I want to see. Like, see this right here? I need to be able to input some information, and I can't do that if the screen is not big enough. And it isn't the screen's not big enough because the screen is fine. It's just it decided to compress some of my options here. And by compressing them, oh, check this move out. Bang! Back in business. All right, let's go. So check this out. So we're going to go ahead and get this bowling ball laid out. So the first measurement you see here is the pin to PAP distance. For this process, we're just going to pick something that's fairly normal, nothing too crazy. Let's do 5 by 40 by 60. It doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit this button here, which is the drill button. So we're going to drill it. And what this is going to do, this is going to put holes in the ball. That's a terrible idea. Let's see here. You could do that, but then you'd have to worry about hitting, or you'd be too close to the holes, and that's not good. That's a much better option right there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow myself the ability to shift this ball around so we can actually see it like we want to see it. Here we go. Like this. Bang. So that's more normal. This is a typical layout. Nothing too crazy, nothing too funky here. If you look, though, look down here, the numbers have changed a little bit, right? The numbers have went up. This number has went up. The maximum hasn't changed a whole lot, but nonetheless, the numbers are a little bit different. Now you say, why does that matter? So the reason why that matters is because when you throw your ball down the lane, your bowling ball is going to jump on one of these colored lines, and it's going to follow that. And that is what the core's contribution to the ball motion actually is. So let's go ahead and let's show you what I'm talking about here. So I got to put in a pattern. This doesn't matter a whole lot. We'll just pick one. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. And so there's our lane pattern. We'll bowl on wood. That's fine. We'll go to the single shot simulator and we will throw a shot. So there we go. We threw a shot. That's what the ball did. Not that big a deal. But what that does, that allows us to then be able to go back over here and go over here and look at this. So this is how the axis point would have actually moved as the ball went down the lane, okay? Now, what you're kind of seeing here is you see how it's in the kind of the yellow, but it's going fairly straight, and it's going into the green, and that's kind of the path. That is the path. That is the path this ball would take. Now, to put that in perspective, right, we're going to change, and we're going to make this 1 inch. Okay, now by doing that, I'm doing a different layout. I'm now putting the pin 1 inch away from the axis point, and it's going to stay in this blue area. So watch, we're going to go back over here. We're going to look at this, but I'm going to do that shot simulation again because that's really what I want to see is the migration path change. So see the migration path change, and look, now the ball's staying deeply in the blue, only in the blue, okay? So that's the point I'm trying to make here is basically how you lay out the ball really determines what kind of path you're going to get. I'll do one more example just to make it so that it's clear. So let's go and do, let's do 6 inches away. All right. So at 6 inches away, and then we go back over here and we hit, go ahead and simulate the path. And that path, now, as you can see, it's in the red a little bit and then kind of stays in the yellow and just touches the green a little bit. So the layout influences the path. And that's what matters in this whole equation, okay? So now we're going to go back to our ball. We're going to make it normal. Get back to 5. Get it drilled. Done. So the ball's normal. That's what we want. No big deal. So now let's talk about weight holes, because that's what this whole thing's about. So I'm first going to add a balance hole, and we're going to put that balance hole 5 inches over, and we're going to put it, let's go -2 inches down. Okay. At what size? So we're going to use a 7/8 bit. And you know what? Let's do this even a little bit better. So look, right here, if you look toward the bottom of the screen, the side weight says it's 1.24 ounces, which means this ball, by the old rules, would be illegal. This has got to be under 1 ounce. So let's just go ahead and get this ball legal. Let's just do that. So let's use a 3/4 bit. And then we're going to go depth. We're going to go 2 inches deep, and we're not going to put any sort of pitch in that hole. It's just a straight hole in the ball. 5 inches over. We don't even need to go 2 inches down at that point. We could probably just go 0, and we could probably back that 5 to 4. So let's put a hole in the ball. Bang. There's the hole in the ball. Okay. Now go down and look at the side weight. Side weight's legal. So now this ball would be legal. Now we got to make sure it doesn't hit any holes, right? So let's go back over to the shot simulator. And you're going to watch. So watch how things kind of change a little bit when I hit this button. So I'm going to hit the button here. Watch how things change a little bit. Now, see, it's still on the yellow. Still a little bit in the red. Just red going to yellow, and it still ends up in the green. But there's a little hole in the ball. We're not going to roll over it, which is what this is showing us. So we're not hitting it, so that's good. So now let's go back. Let's go back over here and talk about what's going on. So I want you now to watch the red, yellow, and green. Just focus on the red, yellow, and green when this hole is there and when the hole's not there. So I'm going to remove the hole, and then we're going to push the button again. So watch it again. I'm going to put the hole back in. So it's moving just a little bit, right? You're seeing just a little bit more red kind of go over toward where the hole's at, right? Versus when it's not there, it shifts a little bit back to the left, just a little bit. So that's what the hole does, okay? That's what the hole does to the ball. And that change impacts the migration path. And depending on what type of bowler you are, depending on how many revs you have, yada, 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 this line will be longer or shorter. But nonetheless, with all that being said, all of that is a function of what path or what plane, what colors your ball is on. So here it is with the weight hole in it. Let me make sure that I took the weight hole off, which I did. So now when I go over here and I refresh it, you're going to watch. Now what I want you to specifically to watch is I want you to watch the line, because that's what matters. When you're bowling, this is what your bowling ball is doing. This is what the bowling ball is doing relative to your access point. So watch this line specifically when I remove that hole. So I'm going to refresh. And the line moved up a little bit, up and a little bit straighter. Let's put the hole back in it. So we'll go back over here, put the hole back in it, like so, and then go back over here and put the hole back. So watch the line again. Watch the line again. We're going to put the hole back in it. So the line shifted a little bit down. So you say, well, okay, Ron, that's cool, but what does that matter, or what's the benefit, or what are you trying to say here? Well, what I'm saying is this. When you look at this line, right, obviously it's pretty obvious that there's not a lot of difference between us having that hole and not having that hole. And as a matter of fact, I would argue that you've got to make some major changes in order for you to see a difference. So I'm going to show you a major change. So the difference between this hole and not having a hole was small. But if I was to make that hole, let's make that diameter 1.5 inches, and we're going to go 3 inches deep. Okay, so it's going to be a lot bigger hole. Remember, we have sideways here. We had almost 3/4 of an ounce positive. We're going to put a big hole. Watch over here. See how big that is. See how everything shifted? Big shift, big change. Okay, and our side weight now is negative. So big change. So now, because there's a much larger change, watch this line, because this is going to be what's going to change. And when that changes significantly, as it's about to, that's what's going to make your ball reaction different. So watch this. Big difference, right? Completely different shape. The ball, the core, or the migration path is now staying in the yellow, and it's deep in the red and staying in the yellow, which is very, very different than what we were. So to kind of summarize what we're saying here is big weight holes, deep weight holes can have an impact on how your bowling ball flares, how your bowling ball goes down the lane, how your bowling ball reacts. But smaller weight holes don't seem to have that impact. And the reason why that's so important, or why all of that matters, obviously you can't put a weight hole like this that I'm showing you in your ball in the first place. That would be illegal. But what I'm trying to say is, if your weight hole is smaller, so we're going to go back to our little 3/4 weight hole right here, and we're going to put it back to 2 inches, which is fairly normal and gets the ball legal. Plugging that hole isn't going to make a massive difference, right? Because when we go back over here, watch the line, because that's what matters. It's going to change drastically. But when I go from having that hole to effectively not having that hole, aka no balance hole, it doesn't change the line very much. And we'll go back over here, and we'll get rid of that hole now. And you'll watch the line changes a little bit, but not very much. A little bit, not very much. So the point here is that plugging your ball, in most cases, is not going to have a big impact on how your bowling ball rolls, because the axis migration path, this line, isn't going to change a whole lot unless you have a massive crater in your ball, which most people don't. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little taste, a little touch of what's going on, give you something to kind of begin to understand how weight holes are going to have an impact. And we will do some more of this. I'll do some more of this if you guys are interested, and give you some more specific details, do some balls that aren't asymmetric, we'll do some that are symmetrical, and really begin to understand what's going on with this axis migration path line here. Because at the end of the day, this is what matters the most. And I'll demonstrate that one other time. Let me do this. Let me take my bowler, go to his delivery parameters, and give him a 150 RPM rev rate, okay? So by doing that, and we save it, we're going to change it. He's 150, so he's got less RPMs. Go back over. Nothing over here is going to change. But when we go over here, watch the line. This is going to prove that the line matters. Or this is going to prove that the line is tied to the bowler, which in this case, we change his rev rate. So we change his rev rate, we hit simulate, and the line's a lot smaller. So this is why it matters. Like this is an expression of the bowler input on the bowling ball from a physics standpoint. So you can tell it's a lot different. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show you guys today. We will do some more of this if you're interested. At the end of the day, weight holes matter, but to what degree is a function of how big and how deep they are. And in most cases, getting your bowling ball plugged is not going to have a big impact on the performance of your ball. And now you have a little bit more of a physics understanding as to why that is. If you have more questions or need more information, make sure you check us out at ctdbowling.com. Ronald Hicklin, CEO from Creating the Difference. Have a great day.